But
I mean, how do you test this? Have you ever set up any sort of large scale manufacturing test to see how many rounds could be produced serializing ammunition over the course of a day? I mean, there are some ammunition manufacturers that can actually produce 1 million rounds a day. Have you ever tried to see how many rounds you guys could produce with this technology in a day?
And in referring to the SAMI video that was widely distributed, and like I said, it was not our undertaking to produce the video. We were not asked to participate in it. We have asked repeatedly to go to ammunition manufacturers and view their process to make sure that this is indeed viable technology, and relying solely on the sporting arms and ammunition manufacturers' video and people that have been in the bullet making business for a long time. We understand and believe that there is the technology that is available that can perform these tasks that are required of serialized ammunition.
All right.
Now, Cam, let me finish, please.
All right.
And somewhere between us talking to people that would like to sell marking and tagging equipment and the associated automation, and between the claims of the bullet manufacturing industry that says it's going to absolutely ruin the shooting sports, there is, as yet, the definable answer. And I'm certain that you can appreciate that in any legislative endeavor between, in my lifetime, the requirement for seat belts, which we heard time and time again was going to ruin the automotive industry, along with smoke detectors in homes, where it's going to make home ownership impossible, there is the reality that will become apparent to everyone. And what that is, I will be honest and say, I do not know.
So in other words,
we have not been invited into the bullet manufacturing, nor have they responded favorably to any investigations by the laser and ammunition manufacturers.
Well, and I can only assume as a consumer of ammunition, perhaps it's because they don't need to do a lot of testing to point out the folly of this idea. And I would just also have to say that in essence what you're saying is, look, I don't know that what I'm saying is the truth, and I don't know that what they're saying is the truth, so let's go ahead and give it a try, and we'll see where the truth is. That doesn't seem like a very good way to mandate a wholesale changes in the manufacturing process of 8 billion rounds of ammunition. Again, ammunition that's not just being bought by the consumers, but being bought by the military and law enforcement.
Absolutely.
So,
and until we can get, and I point out that as a mandate from the legislature in California, we sent out over 400 letters to all the ammunition manufacturers we could find within the United States.
Yeah, but Russ, what you're asking
Cam, come
here,
on, we're talking about an interest in finding out what this truth is, and we sent out over 400 letters at considerable expense to the ammunition manufacturers in the United States of America, and we got one letter back because it was misaddressed. That doesn't sound like there's been much of an industry overview of this, or in reality, much of an interest to do anything but keep up with the status quo. One of the things that we have argued since day one is that American shooters are safe and responsible shooters, and this should be the last threshold for a uniform national right to carry permit system. And we have maintained that since day one.
Now, here's a portion of what Sammy has said. Quote, "It is absolutely clear that ammunition manufacturers will be unable to guarantee that within a carton of ammunition, all cartridges will have the identical serial numbers. They will also be unable to guarantee that the bullet and cartridge case serial numbers will be identical or even present. Once this inevitable consequence of manufacturing reality is admitted as fact in the courts, the whole serialization mandate becomes suspect. Maintaining integrity in packaging is even more dubious. Despite the best efforts of humans and machines, loaded rounds will be mixed between boxes. Even at the retail consumer level, the loaded rounds can be moved between boxes deliberately or inadvertently. This reality, when admitted as fact in the court, will make the matching of serial numbers and ammunition components to the original box equally suspect." I have to say, Russ, you don't have to undergo the millions of dollars. It seems like what you're asking is, well, let's just have one of these manufacturers undergo the millions of dollars in retooling that they say they would need to test this out, and then we'll see. No, who in the right mind is going to do this? We're talking about a high volume, low profit margin industry, and you're asking somebody just for the sake of science to do this. Well, I got to tell you, again, as a consumer, and I'm just speaking as a gun owner and a guy who buys ammunition, if you came up with the technology, shouldn't it be you who tests it and make sure that it works with the manufacturing process? Isn't that your responsibility rather than mandating that others do it for you?
Well, of the 5 points you just made, we know that the technology is viable. It's used in many, many industries.
You know that it's viable in those industries, Russ. Now we're starting to go around in circles.
Cam, I was just at Cabela's on Friday, and I opened up a box of ammunition, and inside the front cover was 23 alphanumeric numbers identifying that particular box as being separate from all the other boxes. When I was out shooting Saturday,
right? We're talking about a barcode, right?
No, we're not. We are talking, that particular box had the Cabela's label on it, and forgive me for bringing up Cabela's name. They are in no way a part of any discussion that we have ever had. They just happen to be a recognized retailer, new to the Northwest, and I just happened to be there and pulled a box of ammunition off the shelf and looked at it to see what the current state was as of Friday afternoon.
Okay, so that box
had... So, Cam, I have to be very clear on this because it's such a polarizing issue with firearms owners. I regret using the Cabela's name because, like I said, they have not been in any way, shape, or form involved in this. They just happened to be a retailer that I was at.
Okay. So anyway, the box had the 23 alphanumeric codes, but each round didn't have that.
That proves that the industry is already basically 9/10 of the way to self-compliance anyway.
Because they can put numbers on a box and not on the individual rounds inside? That's 9/10 of the way there?
In my estimation, yes.
Okay.
All right. Now, Saturday when I was out shooting, I opened up a brick of 500 rounds of 22.
Mm-hmm.
There was the individual retailers' scannable retail barcode on it.
That they put on separately.
That the retailer put on the box.
Right.
Absolutely right. I want to be perfectly clear in this. There was the retailer's barcode scanner thing that they put on the box. There was also a product code and a barcode from the manufacturer. Then each box of 50 had an individual embossed number on the flap of each box of 50, plus the barcode and the UPC code. Guys, the technology is already being employed at the packaging, distribution, and retail level.
Okay.
I point out, I'm not going to give you the name of the retailer that I was at, but I went to a retailer, totally unrelated firearms industry, and the scenario was just exactly what we proposed.
Russ,
you walk in, buy a product, they scan the back of my driver's license, they scan my check, and that's the same scenario. The optical character recognition is used by UPS, FedEx. Everybody is employed in optical character recognition. Everybody is working on uniform product code and barcode.
But Russ,
down
again,
to the fact that laser encryption technology is used in the gem industry to put an individual serialized identification, DNA, whatever you want to call it, on the frosted edge of diamonds. And that is not a mandated thing. It is a voluntary compliance thing that's already in existence in industries that are high volume, low margin. I would encourage you, the next time you get a six-pack of your favorite beverage, look at the bottom. You will see date, stamp, time stamp, production stamp, all of those things on the bottom of a beverage container. And I'll tell you that there are far more beverage containers circulated in the United States each year than the 8 billion rounds of ammunition you have alluded to.
Well, it just so happens, Russ, I've got 2 cans of Diet Coke here right in front of me.
Sure.
And I'm going to look and make sure, I pulled them out of the same 12-pack, and I'm going to look and see if the numbers match for these 12-packs. Because they should, right? I mean, that's what you're talking about with this technology, right?
Actually, you'll find some manufacturers.
No, the numbers are different. Actually, last 3 digits: 0163, 0153. Now, what you're talking about again? Different.
Cam, I want to thank you.
Hey,
Cam, I want to thank you for just pointing out what we have been saying all along.